Labyrinth, a novel based on the Jim Henson film by A.C.H. Smith. Read by Rose in the Library. Chapter 7. The Meaning of Life. Sarah joined Hoggle on the top rung of the ladder, gratefully clutching the side of the open hatchway. It felt like firm land after a voyage at sea. They were looking at a garden where birds were singing. It was surrounded by well-trimmed hedges. Box hedges, she thought, and indeed they ran so straight, with neatly cut openings in them, and turned such precise right angles, and the lawn was so flat and tidy, that the garden was like a green box with the blue sky for a lid. But that was not why they were called box hedges, was it? It was a rather formal garden with carefully positioned stone monuments. On the stones were runic carvings and a few faces. More of those phony warnings, Sarah decided, preparing herself for gloomy predictions. The hatchway through which they had emerged was itself the top of a large ornamental urn, set upon a marble table. What a ridiculous arrangement, Sarah reflected, as they clambered out of the urn and stepped down to the lawn. Nothing was what it seemed to be. It was like a language in which all the words were the same as your own, but where they meant something quite different from what you were used to. From now on, she would take nothing at its face value. She looked with suspicion at the urn, and then down at the grass. She stepped carefully. It could turn out to be the top of someone's head. Hoggle spread his hands. "Here we are, then. You're on your own from here." "What?" "This is as far as I goes." "You said I didn't promise nothing." He shrugged callously. "But you—" "And you said you didn't need anyone to save you." "You little cheat!" Sarah was outraged. "You nasty little cheat!" "I'm not a cheat. I said I'd take you as far as I go. Well, this is it." "You're lying. You're a coward and a liar and... He sniffed. "Don't try to embarrass me. I have no pride." "Pipsqueak." "Don't say that." Hoggle tightened his fists. "Nasty, double-crossing, little runty-cheating, no-good pipsqueak." "I said don't say that." His eyebrows beetled. She leaned toward him and whispered, "Pipsqueak." "Arr!" Hoggle's body clenched. He bared his teeth, then opened them to scream. With his feet together, he jumped in the air, thumping the ground as he landed. Then he lost his balance and rolled on the grass, beating his fists in the air, kicking his stumpy legs. His voice alternated between a growl and a scream. "It was you insist on going on. I said I'd get you out, but oh no, you're so clever. You knew better, didn't you? Well, now you're on your own, and good luck to you, and good riddance." He closed his eyes and rolled on the grass again. Sarah watched him, her mouth open in amazement. She had never seen anyone so angry, not even Toby. Eventually, Hoggle subsided and lay for a while, his eyes still closed, his body twitching occasionally. Sarah wondered if he needed some sort of help. She felt guilty. She had provoked all that with just her one word, which was clearly more hurtful than sticks or stones. Hoggle opened his eyes. He did not look at her as he stood up, brushed himself down, and pretended he had enough dignity left to turn away with his head held high. "Hoggle won't be coming back to save you this time," he informed her. "Oh, yes, he will," Sarah muttered under her breath. And before he could get away, she darted forward and snatched the chain of brooches and badges from his belt. She had to tug quite hard to get it off, and he staggered forward. "Hey!" he protested. "Ha-ha!" She held his precious jewelry too high for him to reach. He danced round beneath the dangling chain, trying to jump up and grab it. It was no good. "Give that back!" he shrieked. "No, you can have it back when I get to the center of the labyrinth." "But you heard Jareth," Hoggle whined. "The center is farther than I can go. No, no!" His whine had risen to a shrill whimper. "Upside down in the bog of eternal stench," he said. His eyes closed and he shuddered. "Now, there's the castle," Sarah said, in a deliberately matter-of-fact voice, one a parent might use to a child after its tantrum. Over the hedges she could see the castle's spires and turrets and towers gleaming in the sunlight, and she pointed to them. "Which way should we try?" "I don't know." Hoggle had turned sullen. "Liar." "Give it back." Hoggle was trying to leap up and grab the chain again. "Give it back." She ignored him. "Let's try this way," she proposed, and walked smartly through one of the gaps in the hedges into a hedged alley. Hoggle followed her reluctantly, his chin on his chest. She led the way down the straight alley and soon came into another garden, very like the one they had just left. Indeed, it was so like the first garden that it was the same one, she realized. She went to the urn and lifted the lid to check. Yes, there was the ladder leading downward. She frowned. "Isn't this the place we just came from?" Hoggle was paying no attention to anything but his string of baubles. You! He leapt, but could get no more than half an inch off the ground. "Give it back!" he bellowed. "I'm sure it's the same place." Sarah stared at the hedges and decided to try another gap. "Come on," she told Hoggle. "Let's try down here." He trotted miserably after her. Again the alleyway ran geometrically straight, at a right angle to the hedge bordering the garden. And again, within a few strides, they emerged into a garden so very like... Sarah groaned. "Oh, no!" They had come out through a gap directly facing the one they had entered. "Give me my things!" Hoggle was trying on a tone of menace. It was easy to ignore. "Come on," Sarah said, undaunted, and tried a different gap. The result was the same as before. They were facing the gap they had entered, and Hoggle was watching nothing but his jewelry. Sarah scratched her head. "I don't believe it," she muttered, and looked around the garden. "Which one haven't we tried?" Hoggle pointed at a gap. "Well, let's try that one then." She plunged into the gap. This time, Hoggle didn't follow her, but waited, arms folded, on the lawn. It was only a moment before she reappeared. "Oh," she groaned, "it's impossible." "She's so clever, is she?" Hoggle sneered. "Thinks she can do it all, when she's lost before she's even started." Sarah turned on him. "There's no point in sounding so smug. If you didn't help me, you won't get your stuff back." "But..." Hoggle's face fell. "I don't know which way to go," he admitted. "And you'll have to help in some other way, won't you?" "Them's my rightful property," Hoggle complained. It's not fair." "No, it isn't," Sarah conceded. She found herself smiling, and it took her a moment to realize why. Then she saw it, like a conundrum that would never fool her again. Nothing was fair. If you expected fairness, you would be forever disappointed. She turned a broad grin upon Hoggle. "That's the way it is,"